You stand before two cups. The left one bears a label naming the life you're leaving behind. The right one bears the name of the life you're stepping into. You pour water from the first into the second, drink it, and declare your shift complete. Somewhere online, a comment thread debates whether this works because of quantum jumping, dimensional shifting, or ceremonial magic. But here's what no one seems to ask. Why does this feel so similar to what Neville Goddard taught when he said to revise your past? Not symbolically, but actually in consciousness, until the old facts dissolve and a new history takes their place. Both methods speak of timelines. Both involve water. Both claim to shift you from one version of reality to another. And yet Neville never mentioned two cups. He spoke only of the mind, the imagination, and the act of rewriting what has already occurred. So which one did he actually teach? Or is it possible that the two cups method is simply the outer symbol of an inner truth Neville knew all along? That consciousness, not ceremony, is the bridge between worlds. Tonight, we're going to decode both. And by the end, you'll see that they were never in competition. They are the same river, flowing from the same source. Welcome to Neville Goddard Universe, where we explore the teachings of Neville Goddard as a living system of truth, one that resonates across the great esoteric and mystical traditions of the world. I'm your host, and tonight we're entering a question I know many of you have carried for a long time. You've seen the two cups method circulating online. You've heard people speak of shifting timelines, of jumping dimensions, of physically manifesting a new reality by drinking water labeled with your desire. And then you've read Neville, or listened to his lectures, and encountered something that sounds both utterly different and strangely identical: revision. The practice of rewriting the past in imagination until the present reflects a new history. One involves cups and water and labels. The other involves only consciousness, operating in silence and stillness. And yet both speak of collapsing one reality and stepping into another. So which one is true? Which one did Neville actually teach? And if the two cups method isn't in his work, why does it resonate so deeply with those who practice it? These are the questions we'll answer tonight. And the answer, I tell you, is far more beautiful than choosing between them. It lies in understanding the single truth they both encode: that reality is not fixed, that the past is not immovable, and that the bridge between timelines is not a ritual, but a shift in consciousness itself. If this exploration speaks to you, if you felt the pull of both methods and wondered what connects them, then stay with me. And if you find value in what we uncover here tonight, a like or a subscription keeps this work alive. I am grateful for every mind that walks this path with us. Now, let's begin with the method Neville actually taught. Neville Goddard spoke often of revision, and when he did, he spoke with the quiet authority of someone who had tested the principle and found it to be law. Revision, as Neville taught it, is not wishful thinking. It is not denial. It is the deliberate act of rewriting the past in imagination so completely that the present rearranges itself to reflect the new history. Let me be precise. Neville did not teach that you pretend the past was different. He taught that you enter imagination, relive a scene that troubled you or left you diminished, and then rewrite it, not in fantasy, but in vivid sensory detail, until the imagined version feels more real than the memory. When you do this with feeling and conviction, the outer world begins to conform. The consequences of the old event dissolve. A new causal chain emerges. In his lecture titled The Pruning Shears of Revision, Neville tells the story of a woman who had a bitter argument with her employer. The words exchanged were harsh. The relationship seemed irreparably damaged. That night, she revised the scene. She replayed the conversation in imagination, but this time she heard kindness where there had been anger. She felt warmth where there had been coldness. She did not try to force the revision. She simply lived it inwardly until it felt natural, until it felt true. The next morning, her employer greeted her as though nothing had happened. More than that, he was unusually gracious, complimentary even. The argument had not been forgotten in the ordinary sense. It had been replaced. A different past now stood behind the present moment. Neville called this the pruning shears, because you are cutting away the branch of causation that would have borne bitter fruit. You are editing the timeline at its root. Now, I tell you this with the full weight of Neville's teaching. He did not say this works sometimes, or only for small things, or only if you believe hard enough. He said it is law. The past, as it exists in consciousness, is always alive. It is not a fixed record, but a living seed. When you revise it, you do not change what happened. You change what is generative. You alter the past that is still creating your present. Listen to how Neville himself put it. The world is yourself pushed out. Everything you behold, though it appears without, is within, in your imagination, of which this world of mortality is but a shadow. If the world is pushed out from within, then the past is also pushed out from within. It is not an objective fact existing independently of your consciousness. It is a state you are perpetuating by continuing to accept it as true. Revision operates on this principle. You withdraw your consent from the old fact. You give your consent to a new one. And because consciousness is the only reality, the outer world, including the so-called past, bends to match the inner revision. Let me give you another example, one Neville often shared. A man came to him distressed. He had been denied a promotion. The meeting had gone poorly. The decision seemed final. Neville instructed him not to accept it, not to fight it, not to argue, not to petition, but to revise it. That night, the man imagined himself back in the meeting. But this time, he heard the words he wished he had heard. He felt the handshake. He saw the approval in his superior's eyes. He did this not as a daydream, but as though it were happening now, in the same vivid sensorium that memory itself occupies. Within days, he was called back. There had been a reconsideration. The decision was reversed. To the outer world, it looked like a fortunate change of heart. To the man, it was proof of what Neville taught. Revision does not change the past. It creates a new past, and that new past unfolds into a new present. This is critical. Neville did not say, "Pretend it went differently and maybe you'll feel better." He said, "Revise it in imagination, and the outer facts will conform." The difference is ontological. It is not about managing your feelings about reality. It is about rewriting reality at the level where reality is born, in consciousness. You are not remembering differently. You are imagining so vividly that imagination becomes memory, and memory becomes fact. Now, why does this work? Neville's answer was always the same, because imagination is God. Because consciousness is the substance of all things. Because there is no external world. There is only the world you are imagining into being, moment by moment, through the feeling of your assumptions. When you revise, you assume a new past, and assumption, though false to the senses if persisted in, hardens into fact. The past is no exception. So that is Neville's teaching on revision. It is an act of consciousness. It requires no tools, no symbols, no water, no labels. It requires only the willingness to imagine a different version of what occurred, and the discipline to dwell in that imagined version until it feels real. And now, having established that foundation, we turn to the 2 cups method, a technique that has swept through manifestation communities in recent years, often described as quantum jumping, timeline shifting, or dimensional hopping. And here is where it gets interesting. Because, when you strip the method down to its essence, you find something unmistakably Nevillian. You find revision in physical form. The 2 cups method is deceptively simple. You take 2 cups or glasses. On one, you place a label describing your current reality, your current state, situation, or identity. On the other, you place a label describing the reality you wish to inhabit. You fill the first cup with water. Then, in a deliberate act, you pour the water from the first cup into the second. You hold the second cup, acknowledge the shift, and drink the water. The ritual is complete. You have, symbolically, moved from one timeline to another. The method gained prominence through online communities exploring the law of attraction, quantum jumping, and what is often called reality shifting. Some attribute it to metaphysical teachers, others to anonymous internet posts. Its exact origin is murky, as is often the case with viral techniques. But its appeal is undeniable. It is tactile. It is immediate. It feels like doing something. And here is the question. If Neville never taught this, why does it work for so many people? Why do practitioners report sudden shifts in circumstance, changes in how others treat them, and a palpable sense of having stepped into a different version of their life? The answer lies not in the cups, and not in the water as a magical substance. It lies in what the ritual makes you do internally. And when you see that, you realize the two cups method is not a separate teaching. It is revision enacted through ceremony. Let's break it down. When you label the first cup with your current reality, you are doing something Neville would recognize instantly. You are defining the state you are leaving. You are naming it, bringing it into conscious awareness. Neville always said you cannot leave a state you have not first acknowledged. The first cup is that acknowledgement. When you label the second cup with your desired reality, you are assuming the wish fulfilled. You are declaring a new state. This is pure Neville. The label is not a hope or a request. It is a statement of identity. I am this now. When you pour the water from the first cup into the second, you are performing an act of transfer. You are symbolically moving the substance of your being from one state to another. And here is where the method becomes profound. The pouring is a physical metaphor for the inner movement of consciousness. You are not changing the water. You are changing where the water is. You are relocating your sense of self from one reality to another. When you drink the water, you are embodying the shift. You are taking the new reality into yourself, consuming it, making it part of your flesh, your blood, your being. Neville would call this assumption made visceral. It is the act of appropriation. The new state is no longer out there. It is in you. Now, why water? This is where the method reveals its deeper esoteric roots, and where it converges not only with Neville, but with traditions far older. Water, across mystical systems, is the universal symbol of the subconscious mind. In alchemy, water is the prima materia, the formless substance that takes the shape of whatever vessel contains it. In tarot, the suit of cups governs emotion, intuition, and the inner life. In Kabbalah, water corresponds to the Sephira Chesed, the realm of mercy and receptivity. And in astrology, water is ruled by the moon, the luminary that governs memory, emotion, habit, and the subconscious patterns that shape our experience. Neville himself often spoke of the subconscious as the womb of creation. He said that your conscious desire must impress itself upon the subconscious, and once it does, the subconscious, like a fertile womb, will bring it forth into the world. Water is that womb. It is the medium through which impressions are received and made manifest. So when you use water in the two cups method, you are not performing magic in the supernatural sense. You are engaging the language of the subconscious. You are using a symbol that speaks directly to the part of you that creates your reality, the deep, receptive, imaginal mind. And here is the convergence. Neville's revision works because it impresses the subconscious with a new memory. The two cups method works because it impresses the subconscious with a new identity. Both are using the same mechanism, the reprogramming of the subconscious through vivid, emotionally charged imagery. The difference is that Neville's method is purely internal. Revision happens in imagination alone. The two cups method externalizes the process. It gives you something to see, to touch, to taste. For some, that tactile element is helpful. It anchors the shift in the physical senses, which then feeds back into the inner conviction. But, and this is crucial, the ritual is not the power. The power is the assumption. If you perform the two cups method without truly feeling the shift in consciousness, without genuinely accepting that you have moved from one state to another, the cups are just cups. The water is just water. Neville would tell you that the symbol is only as effective as the consciousness it invokes. And he would remind you that you do not need the symbol at all. You only need the state. Now let's look at this through the lens of astrology, because the moon's role in both methods is too precise to ignore. In astrology, the moon governs the subconscious, the emotional body, and the realm of memory and conditioning. The moon does not create, it reflects. It takes the light of the sun, the conscious self, the I am, and mirrors it back through the filter of the past. This is why the moon rules over habit, instinct, and the automatic patterns that run beneath conscious awareness. When you revise the past, you are working directly with the moon. You are entering the lunar realm, the storehouse of memory, and rewriting the reflection. You are changing what the moon shows you when you look inward. When you use water in the two cups method, you are invoking the moon's element. Water is lunar. It is mutable, receptive, and governed by feeling. The act of pouring water from one cup to another is a lunar act. You are moving the emotional charge, the felt sense of identity, from one container to another. And here is the key astrological insight. The moon, though it governs the past, is not static. The moon waxes and wanes. It moves through signs and phases. It is always in flux. The past, as the moon holds it, is not a fixed archive. It is a living pattern, constantly being re-impressed by your present consciousness. This is why revision works. This is why the two cups method works. Because the moon, the subconscious, the emotional body, the seat of memory, is not a recorder. It is a receiver. And whatever you impress upon it now becomes the truth it reflects. So whether you are revising a conversation in imagination or pouring water from one labeled cup to another, you are doing the same thing. You are re-impressing the lunar mind. You are giving the subconscious a new image to reflect. And because the world is yourself pushed out, the outer world shifts to match the new reflection. The two cups method did not contradict Neville. It translated him into physical gesture. And for those who need that gesture, who need to see the shift externalized before they can feel it internally, the method serves as a bridge. But the bridge is not the destination. Consciousness is. Neville taught revision because he wanted you to realize you do not need anything outside yourself to change your reality. Not water, not labels, not rituals. Only imagination and the courage to assume the wish fulfilled, even when the senses deny it. But he also would have recognized the two cups method for what it is, a training wheel, a helpful symbol. And if it leads you to the same inner shift, the same reprogramming of the subconscious, the same movement from one state to another, then it is valid. Just do not mistake the cup for the consciousness. Now we come to the practice. And here is what I want you to do. Try both. Not because they are different, but because experiencing them will show you that they are the same. Let's start with Neville's revision, because it is the pure form, the method that requires nothing but your willingness to imagine. Tonight, before you sleep, recall something that happened recently which left you feeling less than you are. It does not need to be traumatic. It can be a conversation that went awkwardly, a moment where you felt ignored, a response you wish you had given but didn't. Something small enough to revise easily, but real enough that you still carry it. Lie down, close your eyes. Breathe until your body stills and your mind quiets. Now, replay the scene. See it as it happened. Feel the discomfort. Do not resist it. Just observe it clearly. This is the first cup. This is the old state. Now, gently, begin to revise. Replay the scene again, but this time, change it. Hear yourself speaking with confidence. See the other person responding warmly. Feel the ease in your body, the satisfaction of being met, of being honored. Do not force it. Let the new version unfold naturally, as though it were a memory you had simply forgotten. Stay with the revised scene. Loop it if you need to. Let it become vivid. Let it feel real. The more sensory detail you include, the deeper the impression. What are you wearing? What is the light like? What do you hear in the background? Make it dense with reality. And then, as you drift toward sleep, let the revised version be the last thing in your mind. Release the old scene entirely. Give your consent to the new one. Let it become the memory. Do this for 3 nights. And then watch what happens. You may find that the person involved treats you differently. You may find that a new opportunity emerges as though the old event never occurred. You may simply find that the emotional charge around the memory has vanished. All of these are signs that the revision has taken root. Now, if you want to try the 2 cups method, here is how to do it in alignment with Neville's principles. Take 2 cups. On a piece of paper or a label, write your current state as clearly and honestly as you can. Not a vague description, but a specific identity. I am overlooked at work. I am anxious about money. I am in conflict with my partner. Place this label on the first cup. On the second label, write the state you are claiming. Again, be specific. I am valued and recognized at work. I am financially secure and at peace. I am in harmony with my partner. Place this label on the second cup. Fill the first cup with water. Hold it for a moment. Acknowledge that this has been your reality. Do not resist it. Just see it clearly. This is the state you are leaving. Now, slowly, pour the water from the first cup into the second. As you do, feel the shift. Feel yourself moving from one state to the other. This is not wishful thinking. This is you, in consciousness, relocating your identity. The water is the medium. You are the power. Hold the second cup. Read the label aloud. Say it as a statement of fact. I am valued and recognized at work. Feel it. Let it settle into your body. Let it become true in this moment. Then drink the water. Take it into yourself. As you swallow, know that the shift is complete. You are no longer the person who filled the first cup. You are the person who drank from the second. And now, here is the key. Do not revisit the first cup. Do not check to see if the old state is still there. The ritual is done. You have moved. Live from the second cup. Think from it. Speak from it. Let your actions flow from the assumption that the shift has already occurred. Both methods, revision and the 2 cups, are rooted in the same truth. You are not changing external circumstances. You are changing the state of consciousness you are occupying. And because your state generates your experience, the circumstances must follow. Try both. See which one feels more natural to you. And then, when you have felt the shift in both, you will understand that the method was never the point. The point was always the inner movement. The change in assumption. The willingness to leave one identity and claim another. That is the practice. That is the law. And it works because consciousness is the only reality. And you are the operant power within your own consciousness. What does it mean that 2 such different methods, one internal, one external, one ancient, one modern, lead to the same result? It means that the truth is not hidden. It is not the exclusive property of any single tradition or teacher. The truth is structural. It is written into the nature of consciousness itself, and every genuine system of awakening eventually discovers it. Neville discovered it in Scripture, in his own inner experience, and in the teachings of his instructor, Abdullah. The Hermetic traditions discovered it and called it the principle of mentalism. The all is mind. The Kabbalists discovered it and called it Ein Sof, pouring itself into form through the vessels of the Sephiroth. The Vedantists discovered it and called it Maya, the world as the dream of Brahman. And now, in our time, people are discovering it again, sometimes through teachers, sometimes through practices that emerge spontaneously, like the 2 cups method, from the collective intuition that reality is not fixed and that we are not passive observers. This should fill you with wonder, not because the methods are magical, but because they are confirmations. They are proof that when human beings turn inward and begin to explore the nature of their own consciousness, they arrive at the same place, again and again, the realization that the world is a mirror, that the past is not immutable, and that the bridge between timelines is not a physical act, but a shift in the feeling of I am. Neville said it plainly. Assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled and continue in that assumption, and that assumption, though denied by the senses, will harden into fact. This is the principle. Whether you enact it in silence or symbolize it with water, whether you call it revision or timeline shifting or quantum jumping, the principle remains the same. And here is the deeper truth. The reason these methods keep emerging is because you need them. Humanity, collectively, is waking up to its own creative power. The illusion of victimhood is cracking. The sense that we are at the mercy of external forces is dissolving. And in its place, a new understanding is rising, that we are not in the world, we are the world. That reality is not something happening to us, it is something happening through us. Neville was a herald of this awakening. He spoke it in the language of mystical Christianity and personal testimony. Others speak it in the language of quantum mechanics, or astrology, or neuroplasticity. But the message is converging. You are not separate from the life you are living. You are its author. And the pen you write with is your imagination, your feeling, your assumption of who and what you are. So we return to the question we began with. Which reality-shifting technique did Neville actually teach? And now you see the answer. He taught the one that requires no technique at all. He taught you to shift in consciousness, and to trust that the outer world, including the past, will conform. The 2 cups method is not his invention, but it is his truth, dressed in ritual. And if the ritual helps you feel the shift, then use it. If it becomes a crutch, release it. The power was never in the water. It was in you, in your willingness to assume a new state and live from it as though it were already true. If this exploration has opened something for you tonight, if you see now that revision and timeline shifting are not opposites but echoes of the same law, then let that seeing change you. Let it give you permission to stop waiting for the world to change first. The world is following you. It has always been following you. And if this work has meant something to you, a like or a subscription carries it forward. I am grateful for every soul who walks this path with us. Tonight, before you sleep, choose one thing you would revise. Not the biggest trauma, not the deepest wound. Just one thing from today or this week that you would like to have gone differently. Revise it. Feel it shift. And tomorrow, notice what follows. You are not rewriting history. You are writing it now from a deeper place, the place Neville called imagination, the place where all things are already complete, already whole, waiting only for your consent to become visible. The bridge between timelines is not a method. It is a recognition. The recognition that you are not crossing from here to there. You are choosing which here you will live in. And that choice is made, always, in consciousness. So choose, revise, pour the water. Drink from the new cup. It does not matter which language you use. What matters is that you move, that you assume, that you dare to believe that the past is not behind you, but beneath you, and that you are free, at any moment, to stand on different ground. The world is yourself pushed out. So push out a new world, tonight, now, and watch as everything rearranges itself to match.